Hey everyone, I'm Kelly Wallace, Chief Correspondent for iVillage, and I'm here with Vanessa Van Petten, author and youthologist. She's going to talk to us. We had so many questions from our community about talking to your kids about money and finance. We wanted you to ask some of them. One of our members wrote, "How can I keep a conversation with my kids about money positive?" What do you tell them?
So there's a lot of worry, that happens, I think, and parents are sort of anxious talking about whether it's debt or the economy. I think it's really important that there's a lot of solutions. So it's not just about giving information because that can sort of go into the worry, but parents can talk about sort of the solutions and the good aspect of it. So the fact that they can talk about purchases that they made that made them really happy. They can also, if they're talking about debt or, allowance or maybe not having enough for, having a little bit of a smaller Christmas or a holiday season, which is happening right now. A lot of parents are talking about, what, it's not going to be as big under the Christmas tree, and here's what that means. That can be very negative, but the solutions, the positive things are, okay, here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to have some more family activities. We're going to work together. We're going to have a joint family gift, and we're all going to take a trip out together. So focusing on the solutions, I think, can keep it really positive and sort of the excitement of the purchases.
And what do you do if your child is worried about money, expresses worry to you about not having enough money, that maybe the family doesn't have enough money? How do you handle that?
So first, it's really important. Teens don't always show their worry. So a parent might think, oh, my teenager's fine, but they're actually, feeling that on the inside, or they're sitting in bed and they're worrying about it. And there's two different kinds of worries that teens have. The first is the short-term worry. What if I can't keep up with my friends? What if I run out of allowance and I can't go to lunch with all my, friends at school? Or what if I actually can't afford lunch? So there's those sort of short-term worries. And there's the long-term worries of they see the recession, they're hearing the news, they see that they can't even get internships anymore. They're worried about not getting jobs. So for parents, I think it's really important to be very transparent about both kinds of worry. Ask them, have you ever been in a situation where you were with friends and maybe they could spend on something or they were pressuring you to spend on something? What do you feel when that happens? A lot of the times they just need to know that is normal. It's totally okay to feel that way and to be honest with their friends. True friends won't feel bad or make you feel bad about not having enough money to spend.
We have so many other great questions from our community. This one, is a money journal a good idea? What do you think?
So let's get clear on what a money journal is. What does that even
What exactly is that?
Yes. So a money journal usually is something where a teenager is logging all of their expenses, how much something cost, and what it is, what they need it for. So, for example, I bought a wheel for my skateboard on January 22nd, and it cost $8 because I couldn't go skateboarding. And that would be a money journal. Sometimes they're even more detailed, and they go over how you felt. Sometimes parents will say, did you feel like it was too much money? Did you feel like you had to save more? I like the idea of money journals for a short-term period. I think when we're talking about budgeting, when parents are thinking about budgeting, it's a great way to have a money journal for a week or 2 weeks, look at the expenditures together to set a budget. But long-term, I think that it bogs teens down and they feel like they sort of begrudge it. So short-term money journals are good, but long-term, not so good.
Right. You don't want to have the consequence that they're not interested in money.
Right, exactly. Or irritated with it.
All right. Let's take one more. How young should I encourage them to get a job? And can you suggest jobs a young teen could do after school and on weekends?
So this happens a lot. Some parents can't give allowance. They feel like, what, they save up for holidays, they get gifts at the holidays, but there isn't a lot of extra room in the budget to give allowance, and that's totally fine. I think that young jobs or teens who are getting jobs is a great way to sort of supplement them not getting allowance. There's a couple different very interesting jobs that teenagers can get. So there's the traditional babysitting and working at fast food restaurants. That's very traditional. Some of the new jobs that I think parents and teens don't think about, AV teams at high schools often will pay a small amount to students who want to work at weekend events or after school events. It's a great job because it's at the high school, and if they're techie, it's a nice one. Library tech aides also, or library aides. Libraries also have a small portion where they will hire teenagers to stock shelves, file donation books, and that's a great way to get them in the library around books. I also know that tutoring, SAT tutoring, math tutoring, even standardized any kind of standardized test tutoring is also a great way to make money, and that can be up to $30 an hour. So that's a great way that teens can make money after school. So those are some different kinds of jobs that you can think about.
Who knew? Who knew? Finally, okay, what happens when it isn't so positive? Okay, when your child overspends, they do the wrong thing when it comes to money. How do you handle that without kind of causing, sort of damage when it comes to how they're going to deal with money in the future?
So when this happens, when a teenager either overspends or takes money out of a parent's wallet, that does happen, or they're ashamed, they wanted to spend more with friends and they didn't actually have it. I think it's really important for parents to not focus on the money, but to focus on the lying or the disrespect or the breaking of rules, because that way they're taking, they're not shaming and they're putting all this anxiety on the money. They're saying, look, this is about you and me. This is about how you stole out of my wallet, or this is about how you spent more than you had, but really that's a respect issue. That's something that you weren't able to tell your friends honestly, that you just couldn't do what they were doing. So focusing on the behavior and the respect for parents as opposed to just the money, that can help take sort of the anxiety out of it.
Great. Vanessa Van Petten, youthologist, author, so many great tips. Thanks for being here on iVillage today.
Thanks for having me.